Hi everyone, and welcome to this final trial tutorial where I'll go over the routes that we currently use in the current meta of this game. So I'm actually going to cover 5 different routes in detail, but I'm going to show you the 4 current most speedrun routes that are out there at the moment, and that's these 4 that are playing right now. So actually I'll let these play through, and then we'll talk about each of the routes individually. But if you want to compare them all side by side, just to see what the general differences are, then here they are. The fastest route that I use in my PBs at the moment is in the top left, and the slowest route is in the bottom right. Each route has its own merits and also its own difficulties. So obviously you want to minimize the amount of time that you spend in the level, but also some of the routes that are available to you are going to be very difficult. So it's up to you really to find the level of difficulty that you're comfortable with while reducing the amount of time that you spend in the level, obviously. So I'll talk about the difficulty of each individual route as I believe that they are later. There are 3 main things that change how fast a route is. The first one being whether or not you use red Pikmin. Now, of course, in Pikmin 1, red Pikmin do 1.5 times damage, so it makes killing Emperor Bulblacks way easier. So some people may choose to do that. Another variable is the number of Pikmin that you use on the 2 bridges. Now, of course, we need to minimize the amount of time that we spend in the level, so the bridges come into play in different ways, just as a result of the other variables. And of course, the final variable is how you choose to kill Emperor Bulblacks. Now, there are 2 ways to do that. The most common way in top level runs is to 2-cycle it, that is to use 2 or maybe 3 bombs in order to 2-cycle Bulblacks. But you can also 1-cycle it with 15 bombs, so that requires going to the back of the Bulblacks ring and getting 15 bombs. So yeah, it's really those 3 variables that make a difference. Now, we'll talk about it more later, but the reason the first and fastest run is so fast is because it uses something none of the other runs use, which is to leave the close bridge, the one that's closest to the onions, still building while we're fighting Bulblacks. You'll notice that all of the other runs have roughly 100 Pikmin when they go into the Bulblacks arena, and it's actually just faster to have a bridge building while you're fighting Bulblacks, you know, maximize the amount of things that are happening at one time. Now, again, yeah, some people really do struggle to do it that way, so the second one is using red Pikmin to fight Bulblacks, and the third one is 1-cycling Bulblacks with a max amount of blues. So, yeah, it's really variable how you choose to do it all. I recommend you to give them all a go, except maybe the hardest one if you're really struggling with some of the easy ones. But yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to it. Just choose if you can learn to C-stick fast enough. I would recommend you don't have red Pikmin with you. But actually, you will notice that the second fastest route does use red Pikmin. So there's really nothing to be ashamed about if you can't kill Bulblacks with only blue Pikmin. It's still acceptable to use reds. It's like, I don't know, 50 seconds slower, something like that. Okay, and just finishing up, this is something that doesn't actually affect the speedrun, but it's nice and it's fun to do this. So if you carry Olimar into an onion and let it get sucked up, then lovely fireworks appear. Anyway, yeah, that's enough of the comparison. It's time to look at each individual run step by step. Alright, here we go then. So this route I didn't actually just show. The 4 compared routes that I just showed were speedrunner applicable routes. Now this route I don't want to see any speedrunners going for necessarily, unless it's like your first run. So this is the easiest way, and the most consistent way to do bulb blacks, but it's also the slowest that is still fast, if that makes sense. So we need to get 85 blues out and then 15 yellows. Now I need to explain this, where I'm C-sticking fully up and then I go back and then I'm able to grab a yellow. That's just Pikmin management and you will be able to do that. So throw 3 over to the land island in the middle. Those will be for bombs later. And the bridge distribution, I want you to put 61 or more on the far bridge. If you struggle to do that movement, I'm not expecting you to get 61 every time. In fact, that's impossible to do, even for the best runners. If you struggle to do that movement, just throw 61 on the far bridge first, and then put the remainder on the close bridge. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, you're going to get 3 bombs, and this is slightly hard to do if you aren't quite familiar with mechanics. This long throw thing, I'm going to throw 1 over onto the wall, let it start drowning, and then long throw 2 back to back. When you run back to the island, the remaining bomb will be scared and not drop its bomb, and then you can put the 3 Pikmin back on the bridge. You might not be able to execute it as kind of smoothly as that at first, but it really isn't that bad. I just encourage you to practice it, and you'll see that you can get those long throws fairly consistently. The key thing to remember is to just throw them into the middle of the island. Anyway, the reason this route is so slow is because I'm going to be putting all of these blues away and prioritizing red Pikmin. Now, I admit I could have done this a little bit faster, but really there's not much in it. So you can walk slightly into the water, not too far, otherwise your Pikmin will drown, but you can walk slightly into the water, and if you C-stick backwards, you should be able to just throw your yellows onto the bridge just fine, without requiring long throws. So here we go, yeah. I had 80 reds in total, so I'm going to put away 80 blues and swap them for reds. Basically, put away as many blues as you have reds in the onion. It's okay to have a couple of leaves, because ideally, if you're picking to choose this route, you struggle to kill bulb blacks, which means you struggle to deal the required damage in the amount of time it takes for a 1 cycle to occur. So there we go, that's why I have 80 reds now, and a maximum of 100 Pikmin in the field, obviously. So that means I do have some blues left over, but this is, we'll call this route the maximum red route. I think that makes sense. Anyway, so dismiss on this bridge, and throw your yellows, preferably yellows. It just makes this throw easier. Make sure that you throw 10 or 11, and then go ahead and put them on the box. Just ideally, they wouldn't be drowning, so yeah, don't miss that throw. But with yellows, it should be really easy to make that throw. There's no more difficult movement right up until the fight. So yeah, for this one, we've got 15 yellows, and we're going to use every single one of them. Grab 15 bombs from the back portion. So this is another factor in this route, is that we're going to grab bombs from the back section. There we go, 15 bombs, just C-stick into the can. There's nothing technical about that, not really, just C-sticks nice and tight. Okay, this is slightly technical though. You have to aim right in the middle, right where my cursor is. Now there is a little bit of leeway, left and right, but it's like between the edge of Bulb Blacks's like cap and between the gate. So it's like halfway between there. You should be able to aim it. Sometimes you'll have a death because of the explosion. That was actually really rare, and it just happened there. But yeah, just C-stick as tightly as you can, and make sure that there's always a Pikmin next to Olimar. He'll be able to throw it, and then straight on Bulb Blacks. Easy as that. Do you want to see the end? Yeah, I'm not going to cut to it. Enjoy watching Secret Safe get carried to the end, so that you can see the final time. One thing else I should mention is that when you're throwing the final Pikmin back on to get it to the maximum of 95, you want to throw to the front. That makes it more likely that the Pikmin won't dismiss and go idle. It'll grab onto the front of the part if that's where it's missing, and then slip backwards if the spot isn't missing at the front. It would slip round it and then be able to carry it from the point that it's missing. I don't know if I explained that well enough, but hopefully you get the idea that you should throw at the front such that it's more likely to grab on. So yep, that's a 5-minute run of what I call the casual or the maximum red final trial route. I don't want to see speedrunners trying that, because this route is pretty much the same level of difficulty, but it's just a bit faster. The reason that I'm showing the previous route is because it's good for casual players to get into beating Final Trial quickly, whereas if you're speedrunning this game, there's only a couple changes you have to make, increasing difficulty very slightly, and it increases your time by about 30 seconds. I don't know, roughly 30 seconds. So this will be the same sort of setup. Here we have 85 blues again. Now look at this movement I do with Olimar. I go up and then down again such that I'm able to grab a yellow Pikmin. I will stand right on the edge of the water and throw 3 yellow, onto that island such that they will be bombers later. Now for the bridge distribution, we're prioritizing the front bridge now. About 24 on the far bridge, the remainder on the close bridge. Sometimes the numbers do matter, sometimes they don't matter. 24 is a rough estimate. If you're above and below by about 2 Pikmin either side, you'll be fine. Now, I will be explaining bridge ranges in a bit, but yeah, don't really worry too much about Pikmin number. But you saw there that I threw 3 Pikmin all at once with the long throws. That's basically the hardest part of this run, of this route, is doing 3 long throws instead of 1 and then 2. But I believe in you. You can do it. 3 long throws and then run straight there. So, this is why we prioritize the short bridge. I'm going to put away only the blue Pikmin that were on the short bridge, and the far bridge will remain blue Pikmin in the field. But you'll be able to kill ball blacks with this number of reds. I believe in you. And also, it removes the leaf factor, because obviously removing all of your reds from the onion would mean that you'll have some leaves, some red leaves, which kind of slow you down. So at this moment, they're all reds. I think actually, obviously they're all reds. They should be all flowers. I think there might be a couple of buds, now that I think about it. But, no, okay, there were no buds. And again, if you dismiss like that, your reds will run straight onto the bridge, start helping, and you can put your yellows to work on the box. It's not worth putting all of your Pikmin on the bridge so that it speeds up, and then whistling your yellows off later. It just makes Pikmin management way harder. So just throw your yellows on. I know you might think you're clever if you put 100 Pikmin on the bridge, but really it just makes it messy in the long haul. So yeah, just do it this way and I think you'll be fine. Try it if you want, but you'll see what I mean. It just makes it messy whistling those 10 Pikmin off. Anyway, so we're doing the exact same thing as before, where we run to the back area and we're going to bomb ball blacks with a 1 cycle. I believe in you. You can do this. 1 cycling it is really not that hard. You just get the position right of the bombs such that it yawns. It does its like "ah" noise. Yes, I'm famous for doing that noise. So yeah, dismiss in that way so that the bombs go kind of towards ball blacks, and right in the middle of the edge of ball blacks and the edge of its ring, the gate, like it's like literally the halfway point. You can long throw with a single Pikmin to wake ball blacks up and react to that noise. It kind of sounds like creaking wood. The timing for that is not that precise, but if you don't want to kill your Pikmin, it's better to be a little bit early. But then again, if you're too early, then ball blacks won't even lick the explosion, and licking the explosion is what causes the stun. So yeah, maybe experiment with the timing, but the timing I've always worked, that's worked for me, is when he goes "Rrrr," and then you react to that noise. So you see that I C-stick to the front, and that loads it up to 95 finally, rather than C-sticking from behind, or throwing in this case. So yeah, this one was, I think, about 30 seconds faster than the casual one, and it's not much harder, because you just 1 cycle ball blacks, and you've got pretty much the same number of reds, but just slightly smarter routing and optimizations. Get some fireworks because I'm a Chad. But that is a 4:30, so yeah, it's literally 31 seconds faster. Cool. Let's see the next one. Hey up, how are we? Okay, so for this one, this is actually the route that I used to use, or, you know, pretty much. I actually made a couple of alterations to it that were slightly faster. But okay, this is the route that I used to use before we discovered the one that is in the world record runs, the fastest route. Before we discovered kind of the optimizations with the bridges, this is the one that I used to use. It was about 3 years ago now I made the switch. But so I'm still using 85 and 15, but in this one you'll notice that I'm not going to switch to reds. I'm going to just keep blues out in the field. So bridges, again, it's the 61 and 24 idea. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, it really doesn't. It can be like 22 to 27. You'll be comfortable. Ideally, though, it would be 61 on the close bridge. 61 plus on the close bridge, because that is the lowest bound of a bridge range. And bridges in this game work a little bit weird, a little bit counterintuitively. All I mean by that is that there are certain ranges that build at the exact same speed. So all of Pikmin in the range 61 to whatever the next range is, I don't know, maybe 70 something. I actually don't know off the top of my head. One range I do know is 31 to 36 is all at the same speed, then 36 to 41 is all at the same speed, and 41 to 48 maybe. That's really testing my knowledge. But the point is, if you have 61, that is the lowest bound of a bridge range, and therefore that bridge will be complete faster, and it will let you get to this section sooner. Anyway, I didn't get reds out. I've just gone straight to this bridge, and this bridge will finish up way before it did last time. Now, oh yeah, I messed up slightly where a few of my yellows grabbed onto the bridge and started working, but that's not really a problem. If you have mixed Pikmin colors, this is actually good to demonstrate. I C-stick them onto the box. If you have mixed Pikmin colors, C-stick them onto the box, because if you dismiss, they kind of run away from each other, and they need to go idle fully before they start pushing the box. That's not true when there's only one Pikmin type, but when there's two Pikmin types, yeah, you need to C-stick them onto the box so that they immediately start working, rather than dismiss. But this is the same old story at this point. I've run all the way through the arena, and I'm just getting 15 bombs. This is like the classic strat, in my opinion, for Ball Blacks. This is the classic strat because, yeah, we knew that swapping to reds was slow and stupid. Well, not stupid, but slow. And we didn't really have any meta big brain strats about more serious multitasking. Anyway, so yeah, this was the route that I always used to do. And IID did it in his, 59, 54. It's a classic run. Maybe even the 57. Yeah, I think he did it in the 57, 52, which is pretty crazy. But, I mean, there's not much else to say. Actually, one thing I should mention then. You notice that I'm always throwing on the right-hand side of Ball Blacks. Now, if you tried to throw on the left-hand side of its face, you would notice that kind of like the left-hand side flips up and it goes out of throw range. So that's why I actually throw on the right-hand side of its face. It's because there's more time available so that you can start throwing on his face sooner on the right-hand side rather than the left. And I always aim for not the mouth, like the cheek part, but from the front, just so that I can start throwing on its face as soon as possible. And that really just maximizes damage, just because you've thrown all of your Pikmin on there sooner. I mean, that's just completely intuitive. But I think back in the day I used to get maybe sub 4s with this, so I'm not sure where I lost the time, but that is a 409 with this, which is okay, but I'm about to show you a new variant. So in this one, surprisingly, getting reds out to help can be quite quick. So this is actually a slightly slower variant of the current meta, the fastest route available, and that's the reason it's faster than even the previous one that I just talked about, because the new change is just so much faster. So here I took out 93 blues and the remainder are yellows. You can actually get 94 blues by the end of Distant Spring, and that's actually recommended so that you can have the maximum speed in this level, but I guess this save had 93 and it's actually closer to what you would normally expect in runs. So here we're doing the 24 and X strat, but this time obviously we don't have 61 on the close bridge. So 24, give or take 2 either side, 22 to 26, that seems reasonable. Re-whistle those blues so that they actually attach to the bridge, and we'll have our 6 yellows available. Sometimes we'll have 7, but that's okay. You only need 6 bombs. Only get 6 bombs. If you have 7 Pikmin, just get 6 bombs and long throw one of your yellows. This right here is very important. I long throw one, wait till it gets to halfway, then I throw the next one, wait for it to land, then throw the third. If you do it with that timing, you'll kill those 3 yellows, but you'll also destroy that gate from a remote location. Don't forget to bump into those yellows before you run round. And now, because we've prioritized this bridge, we can, surprisingly, whistle these blues back. 69 in this case. And we're going to put them away and swap them out for reds. And it's actually beneficial to have those yellows die, because we can swap them out for reds again. And it makes killing ball black slightly faster. So it's kind of sad that we had the yellows die, but who really cares when time is of the essence. Don't forget to whistle your yellows back, your bomb yellows, and we're going to C-stick, or dismiss rather, all of your reds onto there, and just hold on to about 11 reds, just so that you can throw them over. Now, this throw is actually slightly more precise with blues and reds, but it's really not that bad. Now, this is actually an interesting strat. I whistle the 3 bomb yellows into my party before I whistle the ones on the ledge. Don't forget to do that, because it actually lets you C-stick further, and therefore you can dismiss and move the box sooner. Right, now this is important too. I dismiss and I make sure I have only the bombs in my party, and then I do this long throw right at the dust cloud. That's my point for it. Right at the dust cloud, that's when I do the long throw into the arena, and it just works. Then dismiss and only fight ball blacks in the first cycle with your red Pikmin. If you had the blues with you as well, it would kind of just mess you up. Your timing, it would mess you up. Anyway, grab your remaining bomb and put it right in the position for the second cycle, and it should just immediately start biting, and you've already done more than 3/4 of the health, and so this second cycle is like fairly instant. If that was a bit fast, don't worry, I'm going to be explaining a couple more things in the next run as well, but yeah, the main thing is to just kind of get your own timings for it. Figure it out yourself is in effect what I'm saying. But really, practice makes perfect in the end of the day. And I mean, I learnt by practicing. I didn't have anyone telling me like micro specifics. So just try to replicate what I've done with the pointers that I've given you, which is react to that creaking sound when you whistle the bombs, the kind of long throw mechanics, all of that good stuff. So this one is a 4-minute run, and it was slightly faster than the previous one. And actually, I consider this easier in some respects and harder than in other respects. Okay, it's time for a look at what can go wrong. Now, this is actually a fastest route run. That's the position that I did the long throw. And actually, it was too short. So you see Ball Blacks does his little walk. If that happens, don't panic, because the Pikmin can run down and still throw the bomb into its mouth. So that's a kind of a backup recovery thing. Don't panic. If it gets too close to the bomb and the yellow is just going to blow itself up, that can happen too. Just regroup and start from a 2 cycle. But if you're clever and resourceful, you can still get the 2 cycle. Now, unfortunately though, in this case, I failed to do enough damage in the first cycle because of the backup strat. Like, I wasn't quite ready for it, so my position was off. Ball Blacks isn't dead after 2 cycles, but if that happens, just stand in front of it and it should start licking again, and just throw on the side of its face while it's licking. Just like that. That is a disaster. It would kill a lot of runs unless you know the backup strats. So, yeah. Learn your backups, people. Alright, now that I've shown you all of that stuff, all of the good stuff, this is the one. This is the fastest route that I know available at the moment. That humans can execute. So yeah, here we go. Withdraw all of your blues. This should be 94. Sometimes it's 93. If you have 93, you can withdraw 7 yellows, and it doesn't make too much of a difference because we're going to long throw one of these yellows from the bomb area to the middle island. So look, I throw that blue there. That actually forces the yellows to be slightly further away from Olimar, so that you don't have to walk as far to the right in order for them to latch on and start drowning and then be whistleable. So in this case, 61 go on the far bridge. It can be a little more than that, but minimum 61, and the remainder go on that bridge, on the short bridge. The close bridge, rather. And unfortunately, one of the yellows drowned. But if you have 7, that's okay. You can just long throw one of the yellows onto the close bridge. So yeah, get your 6 bombs, and I'm going to do 1, wait for it to get to halfway on the wall, all the way to half. I then do a long throw, wait for it to land, and then throw the next one. Then I do a quick rapid throw, 1, 2, 3. It's okay for them to drown. And we're going to just dismiss them again. Now I'm going to whistle 10 off of here, 10 blues. It can be allowed, it's allowed to be a bit more. So in this case I get 15, and I think that that's actually slightly too many. So go for 11, 12, 13, maybe 14 blues. But yeah, you don't need to get up to 15. So in total that's 61 blues on the far bridge, plus 15 blues that I have with me now. I guess that's 76 blues. So aim for around 74, 75. So I'm still going to do the long throw strat. Wake up ball blacks with a long throw and C-stick fully to the right. If you do that, your blues will be quickly available to you, and you can just whistle up. Just start throwing on his face as soon as possible to do the damage that you need to do, and use the C-stick not in circles, not in wiggles. You're actually reacting. You need to be looking at the Pikmin in front of you, so that you are always able to throw a Pikmin, such that there's always a Pikmin next to Olimar. That's the key factor. I'm not just wiggling the CE stick aimlessly. I'm actually looking at the effect that it's having on my party, and that separates you from being able to do blue throws, or rather the blue only ball blacks kills versus the red throws. Right, in this route though, this bridge is still being built, and this is why I was saying maybe I took too many. The bridge should just be finished by the time I reach it with Olimar, not by the time I reach it with the secret safe. So I had 16 still working on there. Ideally, maybe 17 or 18. Anyway, that's the final thing. I just need to carry up the secret safe and bring it in. Finally, it says 95, so my work is done. I know that I have a couple leaves and buds on it, but there's not much you can do to avoid that. Check out this for some swag. And yeah, that's still the fastest route. Boom, 3:14. So you can do final trial from yes to collection in pi minutes. Anyway, that's actually all I have for you. I hope you will experiment with this. Please don't be put off by the fact that I've given this such a high difficulty rating compared to the others, because, well, yeah, I do still mess this up, but back in my day I was ridiculously consistent at it as well. So yeah, it is the fastest way to do it. I mean, by a long way as well. It's like 45 seconds faster than the second best that I did in like one go. Okay, fine. So there's variance in there, but we'll call it 45, 40 seconds. Just, yeah, experiment with it. Use reds if it helps you. And this one is advanced. All of the others I would consider intermediate or beginner level. This one that I just showed was advanced, but yeah, I hope that I've given you something here that will enable you to make an educated decision on which route you're going to follow for runs, and something that will be a stepping stone to using the final and fastest routes that we have available for you. That's all I wanted to say, really. So enjoy it, happy Pikmining, and good luck. We're all counting on you. And thanks for watching.